Welcome, listeners, to Thru the Sightglass, a podcast that dives deep into the fascinating world of craft beer and celebrates the incredible individuals who shape its vibrant landscape. Join us on a journey where we explore the nuances of this amazing industry and the remarkable people who contribute to its richness and diversity. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Tucker and Zach of Maine Beer Company. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We just introduced y'all, but could y'all tell us your name and your role here at Maine Beer Co., please?
Absolutely. My name is Tucker. I am the communications manager, but I have worn a lot of hats here over the years. I actually got a summer job about 7 years ago in our tasting room and working my way through the tasting room in the front of house and to the back, and really being on this team with Zach and talking about what we do here.
Awesome, love it.
And I'm Zach. I am the community partnerships manager at Maine Beer Company, and I've been here for just a little over 2 years.
Wow.
So
Very
happy
cool.
to be here.
Love that. Where do y'all call home?
Well, originally I would call Fort Collins, Colorado home. That's where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
Love Fort Collins, yeah.
Yep.
So you're a long ways away.
Yeah, long way away from there. That is, oddly enough, as you all know, pretty beer forward, and that was quite a place to grow up. I mean, in the late '80s, early '90s, watching my parents take me to places like Cooper Smith's in Old Town, and being not tall enough to see the bar, but knowing people were into beer, going to school with kids whose parents owned big breweries there. Just an interesting way to
Grow up, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's home.
Okay.
Yeah,
very
so
cool.
even before you were drinking, you were already kind of like growing up in this industry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. That's something they talk about, the demographic of like
Yeah.
younger drinkers. It's like these younger kids grew up going to breweries with their parents. And so, yeah, I found that interesting. It also dates me. I'm like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
old.
Well, yeah, that's the funny thing is like there it started early. So,
Yeah.
I'm 42 years old now, but like that's something to think about is right now is like watching in my mind's eye, I can see myself holding onto the bar with both of my hands, looking up.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's wild. I love that. Yeah, because our friends' kids now are growing up going to the breweries because that's where we can all hang out. It's our third place is what everyone's calling it. So, yeah. What about you, Tucker?
I was born and raised right here in Freeport, Maine.
Right here in Freeport, Maine. Look
And
at that.
Locally grown.
yeah,
Nice.
the local beer factory. Maine Beer Company moved here from Portland when I was a senior in high school.
Okay.
Oh, dang.
Around that time, my dad realized that I'd hang out with him more if he bought me beer.
Oh.
That's a good
And
father
so
son time.
I slightly blame Maine Beer Company for
Aw.
my early adopted craft beer hobby.
Oh,
There
that's
you
so
go.
good.
There
That's
you
so
go.
funny.
I love
We'll
that.
just leave that there.
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
Did he enlist you in any of his home brewing? Was he that bold enough or no?
He has been gluten-free for as long as I remember, so he
Oh.
is not a beer drinker himself.
Oh, okay.
So what was he drinking while you were drinking craft beer?
Wine.
Wine. There
Wine.
you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Love it. That's great.
Well, it's very European-esque, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. So, what was it like for you growing up in Colorado outside of the beer scene, like high school into college? What does that time frame look like for you?
Not super crazy. I mean, Fort Collins is a great place to grow up. It's like a lot of rollerblading on the trails, by the rivers.
All the outdoor activities.
Oh yeah, super outdoorsy, going up into the mountains. So much that I'd complain about it. I'd be reminded by my mother would say, "Well, people save up all year to go to Rocky Mountain National Park." And
Yep.
it's like,
That
big
was
deal.
that was me and my
Yeah.
that was me and my family.
Okay.
I grew up in Amarillo, Texas.
Okay.
So we would go to Colorado once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just funny when it's your backyard. and
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Gotta appreciate
why do we have to go there? And now every time I go back, it's like, wow, this is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. She reminded me how pretty moss was because when she came to the West Coast and started working, that's all she could talk about was like the moss
Still
is so
now.
beautiful. And like you
y'all's
said,
moss wall downstairs is beautiful.
like when it's all just in your backyard, you're just kind of like, oh, yeah, that's just there. But then we've been traveling a lot. And over the past 4 years, we've done the U.S. like 4 or 5 different times. And I'm like, oh, yeah, there are places that it's just orange and brown. There is no green
Yeah, for
unless
sure.
you put it there.
That's
Yes.
the crazy thing. Like in Colorado, it's like brown in the summer. So going places like here, you asked about going into college. I went for 1 year in Portland, Oregon, to a school there. Very green, very completely different. Then I went to Iowa to finish up, and then I moved to Minnesota. It's a long story, but just the varied.
Yeah. The geography.
The landscape.
The natural bounty.
Yeah. As I said, you went from some of the most bountiful places to some of the probably harshest or more barren places to live.
Yeah, for
Doesn't
sure.
make them any less beautiful, but to each their own.
Yeah. How did you land here in Maine then?
My former partner moved out here, and so did I. And it was just kind of like all the stars aligned. I'd quit my job in fine dining in Minnesota, and we ended up here. So it was it's kind of like that stray cat that finds you. And I love it. I love it here. It's just it's a little bit different than a lot of people's stories in coming to Maine. I think mine was just sort of like, let's go. You got this big job, I will come with.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, it's so gorgeous there. So I think I just kind of lucked out.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
That is very nice. How did you land here at Maine Beer Co?
Originally, their job was going to be a 9-month temporary visiting professor at a local college. So I was like, all right, well, I want to go pour some beer. I worked in restaurant management, in operations for a number of years in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and I was like, it's just time to not manage, and I can pour some beer and have some fun. And then it turned into, oh wait, that's tenure track now. We're staying, and I was glad to work here and found openings where I did. So.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, that's so great.
Was it kind of a relief to maybe step back? Not saying that you didn't have capacity for handling all the responsibility. Were you just kind of burnt out on it? That's what I'm trying to get to. Were you getting burnt out, and you're like, you know what, I want to kind of take a step back and breathe a little bit?
A lot of it was the post-pandemic energy of fine dining, and during the pandemic energy of fine dining. So I think, at a point I was working for a restaurant group where there were 13 out of 100 people left, and I was one of the 13.
Wow.
And I was running the POS, drinking a beer, and doing all the dishwashing at the same time, and that was an adventure, but definitely not sustainable.
Right.
So
I mean, I've done management, so I understand. Like you're just like I'm good at it, but I want to change it up.
Yeah.
So
I don't need the text message at 1 a.m.
or the stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So you got here in like kind of summer, like during college. I'm assuming that you started pouring beer here.
Yeah. So 2018 is when I started.
Okay.
I was the only part-time employee in our tasting room.
Heck yeah.
Very small team at the time. I think
Was
there
it this tap room?
So the room that you guys just walked through used to be our production facility. And so like in 2017 kind of finished this new facility that we'll walk around in soon.
Oh, okay.
And our tasting room was like under 800 square feet.
Wow.
Oh, tiny.
Yes.
Nice.
Very, very intimate experience.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
And like 2013 when they opened that tasting room, it wasn't a super popular thing for breweries to have at the time. Dan Kleban, one of our co-founders, has done a lot of work on just making that whole industry here in Maine possible for breweries to sell their beer to people and say
That's amazing.
come have an experience at the brewery.
Nice.
I really fully thought that was like my summer job. Come back to Maine for the summer, hang out with my friends and family. Caught the hook hard.
The sales pitch was good.
Yeah, it's been really fun.
Nice. I want to ask quickly, because you talked about how you kind of got involved in just drinking beer and hear about Maine Beer Co. through your father. But what were your inspirations after high school? Did you go to college? Did you want to go to college, or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I went and studied industrial design in Rochester, New York.
Oh wow.
And it was a great time. Loved it. Had quite a few Jenny Cream ales there, as well as
That's a classic.
some craft beer as well.
I love it. Doesn't Jenny 2 come in the big? Is it 19.2s or 22s?
Oh, they have like every format.
Oh, I love it.
It's the
Yeah,
best.
just how you feel on the day.
And when you're there in Rochester, you're like, this is the freshest beer around.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Nice,
I
okay.
kind of was, tired and burnt out of the design world post finals and all of that, and just kind of wanted to like take a little break.
Yeah, switch it up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Growing up in the shadow of the brewery, I always really admired this brand. And so it was one where I was like, I want to work there.
Nice.
What was it specifically that, outside of like you sharing time with your dad and like, was there, and like working there, like what was something that really made you be like, this is a company I want to stick with?
They've always worn their values on their sleeve and definitely just really aligned with me and taking care of the community and the environment. And yeah.
Nice.
Love that. Can y'all give us a little history about how Maine Beer Co. got started and then moved from Portland to Freeport? Sorry.
How dare you?
I know. I made the mistake because we've been in Maine for several weeks, months, and we were in Massachusetts. And I accidentally said, I was like, yeah, being in Maine. And they're like, we're not in Maine. And I was like, I forgot that we traveled 2 hours.
The tone
and we
in
were
the
in a
room
different
changed.
State. I was like, I apologize.
It's like a time warp coming to the East Coast where it's like, oh, you're in the next state. And it's been like 30 minutes.
And we went through
Yeah.
several states on the way and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I apologize. Freeport, Maine.
So Maine Beer Company was founded in 2009 by brothers David and Daniel Kleban. They started as homebrewers.
Classic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brewing in the garage, something they really enjoyed to do. They liked beer. It kind of, as things were unfolding, the story goes, Dave asked Dan if he wanted to be a lawyer or a brewer for the rest of his life, and he said a brewer, and they started working on it from there on.
Which is wild because lawyers can make some good money.
Yeah.
It's like, how would you like to make no money?
It's a good decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so 2009, before there was a ton of breweries popping off, like a little before that boom, they started like One Barrel Brew House, worked on Spring Peeper Ale, opened with just one recipe.
Oh, damn.
That was always their goal. They wanted to make one really, really good beer. So they
Solid.
did tons of iterations till they landed on that recipe. And then Dave hits the streets with a small cooler and his young daughter and starts peddling Spring Peeper.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so they started in Industrial Way, across from Allagash.
Right.
So that building that now is home to Foundation and Austin Street, Battery Steel.
Yeah. A lot of breweries have
Bissell
come out of there.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Bissell Brothers actually took over our original space.
Yeah.
That's where they started, and then had the need to expand in 2013, come here to Freeport.
Nice.
Gotcha. Do you know why they came to Freeport specifically?
No.
No? Okay. That's okay.
How was the community's reception for when Maine Beer Co. landed here? Had people known their name and were they stoked, or was it just like, oh, cool, another business moving in?
Hard for me to say, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
Despite being involved and aware of the company, I think, there's some examples like with our nonprofit partner Wolf's Neck Center down the road, where like those two organizations came together right off the bat. They were both really excited to work together. So part of the founding of Maine Beer Company, if we're gonna roll it back, is they've been members of 1% for the Planet since the first day.
Okay, I was going to ask when it started.
Yeah, so it could have been toothpicks is another famous quote of Dave's, where it was a way of doing things, not necessarily, they found this love for beer and that's how it all came together. But, our motto, do what's right, was always number one on the business plan. We're going to do things differently. We're going to do things right. And 1% for the Planet was like a way to accomplish that and support the community and the planet.
Gotcha. Very cool.
So I know when they moved here to Freeport, like that connection with Wolf's Neck Center happened very quickly. They'd pour beers at their events. We'd host them here. They'd be recipients of some of our 1% for the Planet commitment. So I think, just well received off the bat.
Yeah,
No, yeah.
for sure.
I mean, people always do like drinking for a cause. Do you know how many that you guys have been a part of in terms of like nonprofits or local organizations that you've been able to help or support from 2013 till now?
Ooh, numbers wise?
I guess it doesn't have to be exact. Is it more than 100?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
For sure.
That's awesome. I
We,
think,
we have in our notes 120.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it came from an
It's
email.
I could, sorry.
That might have been it. Yeah.
I think that was just last year.
That was just last
Just
year.
last year? Oh, dang. Okay, so that's
Okay.
for all just 2023 to 2024.
Yeah, and right as we grow, so does that ability to give back.
Right.
So I think when we moved here, it was sort of like, let's highlight one organization a month, kind of like tell their story. People in the tasting room will donate tips from customers to those organizations, and it made sense to have one a month.
Right.
But then just kept going, and so now it's right upwards 10x.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's also really cool to see that. I know you guys you guys have the beer. It's people's choice to choose whether or not they want to support, and that's crazy to think that people were like, oh, no, we love doing this. And so it's like, well, now we got to do more than one a month. Like, that's really, really awesome to see.
Yeah.
Do you know,
To come clean, we would highlight one a month, but we made sure they all got equal share.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We weren't going to give one organization
Gotcha.
July
Okay.
and the other one January.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I like that.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be rough.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
despite everyone who put a token in for a nonprofit, we mostly just shared the
I
love.
see.
Sure
Yeah, that
love.
does make sense in terms of like seasonality.
Yeah, no, for sure. How does it go about? So obviously, it's evolved and changed over the years. What does it look like for do nonprofits or people, community like organizations? Do they come to y'all? Do people tell y'all? Like, what does that process kind of look like?
I want to say it's pretty organic. We don't really do like grants. We don't have a foundation. A lot of it is face to face. Do you support our 6 pillars of giving? Is it something that you'd like to be like? Do our values align? Right. So we prioritize animal protection, climate action, community support, equity and inclusion, land preservation, and outdoor access. Those are our
Okay,
6
the
pillars.
Oh,
Six
wonderful. Wow.
So if an organization is a cold call and they do something really cool, and by cold call I mean an email that I just randomly get
Right.
forwarded to me, that can turn into a donation. Do they fit in that? Do they fit in my budget for the year? Yeah, so it's not like it can come from any source.
Any source, yeah.
Internal, external.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is also driven by causes that the ownership, is behind. Which I
Gotcha.
can get behind a lot of those too. I mean,
Right.
we've
Yeah.
got a lot of investment in animal welfare, making sure people are good pet parents,
Yeah.
making sure that pets have the right homes. But also land conservation, preservation, access to all persons trails, just the list will go on and on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with those 6 pillars, there's a lot that can fall into that. Especially here in Maine, there's a lot of those things. So I saw that y'all have like solar in front, so I'm assuming part of the building was probably set up to kind of help be a part of that, for the earth. I don't know, just not having the carbon footprint and different things. Or were there specific things with the building itself that they kind of incorporated in that were aligned with those pillars?
yeah, I think for like the walk the walk part of it, I mean we try and gift to organizations that are getting solar, replacing their energy consumption, making it renewable. So that is something we demonstrate out there. Not all of the power that we have in the building is supplied by the panels
That would be a lot.
here,
Yeah.
but it is solar powered,
Right.
the brewery itself. So yeah, a lot of the sustainability measures are really important to keep in mind. We've got a sustainability manager, Dave. There's a lot of work that he does within the organization and collaborating with other folks. We've got our carbon recapture system.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
From like the fermentation and everything. Very cool.
So I mean, there's a lot of things that are being done here to try and I guess sort of mitigate the environmental issues that
Impact,
brewing
yeah.
can
Yeah.
produce.
Yeah,
So,
because it can be a lot. I mean, we've been to some big breweries, and y'all are a big brewery, and like it can be a lot. So it's really cool to know people are doing their part to help out and still have good beer, but help out.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
What is the I think with these values, a lot of the employees that work here probably maintain and have the same values that y'all, in some form of way, that y'all believe. What does the employee involvement look like with some of these community organizations, or how do they get involved?
Yeah, so that's a great question. In fact, that's one of the things that brought me here. Even though I said I was just coming to pour beer, it's like, oh, look, like, they pay their employees well. They are giving good benefits. Here is a company that gives to causes that I can get behind. So even in recruiting, it's a great tool, I'd say. But otherwise, internally, if you're a member of staff, you can submit we'll make a submission for our 1% for the Planet Staff Scholarship Program. So that is like the employee-directed giving arm that we have. And so anybody that works here can say, this is a 1% for the Planet member that I enjoy, I give to, or I just think does a great job.
Nice.
Let's send it to the committee, see if they're going to vote for it, and we'll give them $1,000. So, I mean,
awesome.
Very cool.
it's another thing that got me hooked into this job, actually, is that I suggested Friends of the Mississippi River in Minneapolis and St. Paul, where I used to live. And it was chosen, and I thought, it can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, we do. So it's the little things that
Little things.
that really help out, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. It seems really cool to be able to be a part of something bigger. You feel like you're not just slinging beer, even though it is good beer. You're really being able to make an impact on helping others as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it can help teach passion or value in work, because there's so much in the work-life balance that you try to figure out, because when you leave your job, you don't want your job to follow you home, and you want to be able to do the other things with your time that I think we all would be doing if we all were billionaires and didn't have to worry about working ever again. So I think that's a good way it leads
Yeah,
it.
for sure. I know y'all have some cool stats from 2024. It sounded like it was a really big year for y'all. Do y'all want to share any of those?
Yeah, I mean, we gave a ton of money away, which is great, and I think that's something we're trying to build on year over year. So what is it? We had over 120 organizations from your notes
Congrats.
to our notes to my notes.
Yeah.
Over $800,000 donated
Yeah,
in
that's
total
amazing.
last year. We're up to, I think, nearly $4 million in the lifetime of the company.
That's incredible.
Wow.
It doesn't say that in the tasting room right now, but it will at some point this year soon.
Okay.
And a lot of that is just, I guess, a testament to our desire to do good through great beer, which is another tagline that we like to talk about here. But yeah, statistic-wise, that's like a lot of organizations, a lot of dollars, but also it's a lot of pouring events. So 30 plus last year, going out in the public, pouring, talking about
awesome.
the nonprofit, talking about what we do. A lot of that's pairing with Wolf's Neck Center, but many other organizations from as far away as Boston, as far north as Katahdin and Millinocket. A lot of chances to provide beer for fundraisers and for organizations.
Yeah.
Just a sponsor. So
I think it's also really important, too, for businesses in the community to seem like they want to be involved in it. I think watching what happened with Anchor, when Anchor went under, everybody started mass buying Anchor steamed beer. And I was working at a bottle shop, but I'd always ask them, hey, what if Anchor got saved? Would you continue buying this beer? And they're like, well, if I know it's going to be around, maybe not as much. And I think that, that community engagement really is like good for your business, and it's also good for the people. It's just a win-win.
Yeah, definitely win-wins. I know you kind of told a little bit of your story of being able to have $1,000 sent back to where you're from. Do y'all have any other big impactful stories that maybe it wasn't necessarily so personal, but something that like you remember and you're like, oh, that was a cool thing, or I really enjoyed that?
Super cool from last year. So we paid off the school debt for the local school district here, RSU 5.
That's
so
fucking
Freeport
amazing.
And Pownell area. And although breakfast and lunch are free for kids as like a pandemic era thing that's continued, hopefully does keep continuing.
Yeah.
That didn't eliminate food debt or the lunch debt. So it wasn't a ton of money when you compare it to the statistics. It was like, I think, around $15,000 that we gave to eliminate that. But that is $15,000 that was just hanging out and not being able to be, they can't settle the accounts in the schools, but it's also people have maybe graduated and it's still hanging out on their record.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Is just like a really cool I guess we don't talk about it much until now.
No.
Right.
But it's stuff like that that maybe isn't like a big ticket item, but really does, I guess, as some people say, get you in the feels.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in this day and age, I think the majority of people have forms of debt and probably large forms of debt. So even having something that was maybe $800 be gone, you don't have to worry about it. It's a huge relief.
Yeah.
It's a huge relief.
Yeah, for sure. Do y'all, like, what does that look like to, like, share with the tap room or the community when y'all are doing stuff? What's kind of your philosophy and strategy around sharing?
Well, I think we can both talk to this one quite a bit. I'll start off since I'm already yammering here.
No, you're good.
But as far as sharing internally, we do put things in our newsletter. A lot of it is trying to drive engagement with our coworkers as far as I've got these volunteer opportunities, or this is what the money that we've been giving has done. You might have seen, if you walk through part of our office, all the posters.
I did see those, yeah.
So those talk about the giving projects we've had in the last year, which is pretty cool. But other than that, we try and use our platforms to talk about our partners. So Tucker does a lot of that as far as the communications management end of things goes. And Tucker?
Yeah, so the school lunch project, that's an interesting example. We make alcohol, and that's centered around underage people.
Right.
So that's not one that we
The school
we
lunch
really
comes
lean on
with like
to-
a 10-ounce spring peeper.
and so that's one that we feel really good about.
Right.
We feel very passionate about making that happen and providing that
Yeah.
support. But it's not necessarily one of an example that we lean on for public communication. But we do that all the time. I think the whole giving ecosystem is really baked into what we do here. We don't really use the term marketing too often. We find that our department is more of storytellers, and we get to tell the story of our nonprofit partners, and then we talk about beer.
Do you feel like that shifts the perspective of how people look at Maine Beer Company as a business?
Absolutely.
Nice.
And we'd like to think so.
Yeah.
No, I would agree. I mean, again, working back at REI, I get exposed to all the internals of the corporation. I think it's very similar to what Maine Beer Co. does. I don't think people look at REI as like a corporate business. They look at it as like an outdoor industry. So,
And so yeah, we have a lot of good examples of like some cool giving projects from the past year. Obviously, it's over 120 organizations, so there's tons of examples. But
yeah, that's a lot.
Anyone, one or two that you want to highlight, maybe?
Yeah,
I'd love to
absolutely.
hear.
So-
I'd love to hear some of the stories.
Yeah, give us your top 3 you like and your top 3 you dislike.
I don't dislike any of them. We'll just start things off. So the first 1% check we ever wrote in 2009 was $100 to Allied Whale Foundation, which is an arm of College of the Atlantic. And so at the time, 1% of our sales that year, $100,
Yeah.
goes to
Amazing.
Allied Whale.
That's awesome.
For those that don't know, that's where the name Lunch came from.
Oh.
Lunch.
Oh, wow.
Lunch was actually a real whale, and she had what looked like a bite taken out of her fin, hence the name.
Oh, damn.
And she was researched and tracked by Allied Whale,
Yeah.
Wow.
so that's where the name comes from.
I always wondered because I mean that's really it's a one that I see all the time is lunch.
Yeah,
and
widely
so
distributed.
That's a really cool story.
Yeah, so David Kleban went and visited their whaling museum, and this is how he learned of it. And
Yeah.
the rest is history there.
That's awesome.
And so this year, they actually had some funding cut, and so they found themselves, $20,000 short?
$20,000 in the hole. NOAA cut their funding last year for marine mammal rescue, and they were just kind of like, "You've been a long-term partner. What's up?"
Yeah, what's the reason for?
We were trying to brainstorm with Allied Whale, like what can we do to help you get, or at least try and replace this funding. I think with this cut, it meant that all they could do was just report back that, okay, this animal was stranded at this beach, the end.
Gotcha.
As opposed to sending people out to do a little triage, see if the animal can be rehabbed, relocated, et cetera. So I guess the important thing there was just making sure that we can help them with their mission, which is
You're good. Don't worry.
which is to just ensure the health of our marine mammals, essentially.
Yeah.
So the idea that came to be was maybe we'll do a matching campaign. So we'll donate $10,000 to you now, but also $10,000 towards this matching campaign to make sure that, hopefully people will donate. And we reached the goal. And how long, Tucker? I forgot. It didn't take
like a
long.
day.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Nice.
And really cool, like a good example of us being able to use our platform
Mm-hmm.
and the megaphone of Maine Beer Company to tell people about this project and about this work and
Yeah, people that need help.
Yeah, and gather support from the community.
Yeah, I mean, it even involves like rewriting the label on the back of lunch to just reinforce that relationship with Allied Whale. And I mean, some of the biggest platforms we have are the ones you hold in your hand.
Right.
So those stories really do matter. I mean, you can have somebody in a Whole Foods in Virginia picks up a bottle of lunch and is like, Allied Whale.
Yeah.
All right, well,
That is really cool to think
Okay.
about the outreach. I never thought of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see, like I said, I see lunch, and we've been across a couple of the states here, and you can normally find some Maine Beer Co. somewhere. So
Yeah.
Or at a brewery, or at a tap room or bottle shop or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's amazing. Way to go, lunch.
And yeah, lunch is definitely, we would call Peeper our flagship beer, but lunch is a large percentage of our production volume these days. And kind of acts as more of that year-round available
Gotcha.
flagship beer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Love that.
I wanted to quickly ask, I both know that you guys are both very outdoor, adventurous people. Does that permeate through the rest of Maine Beer Company? I find it somewhat surprising that there is such a big focus on the outdoors. Maybe I shouldn't due to the East Coast landscape because it's
Yeah.
gorgeous out here, but
I feel like it does run through a lot of people that work
Okay.
here in general, and I can't say that I'm always outdoors, but I do like to take a good long walk
Yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
hike, and I think that's just kind of built in, especially if you live somewhere.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, you can just enjoy it. So
very
I
true.
love that. Yeah.
So last January, we got hit by this super intense storm, and there was extreme flooding across all of the coast of Maine.
Oh, wow.
And caused a ton of damage. And so I think this is a cool example where Maine Coast Fishermen Alliance reaches out to us in response to this just disaster event. And that's something where, maybe not all of the long planning that Zach works on, but we're like,
Yeah.
of course we want to stand up for our community and help here.
well, and wisely, I've been directed. We save some money just so we can be more nimble with certain emergency situations. Like you can never. Well, there are emergencies because you can't predict them.
Right.
So if you have a little bit there, you can try and help your community out a little bit. So like Tucker was saying with MCFA and the Island Institute also had rebuilding initiatives and how can we help our working waterfronts get back to working.
How extensive was the damage?
It was pretty
severe?
Yeah, it was.
Gotcha.
It was like tearing apart docks,
Gotcha.
sweeping buildings into the ocean.
Lots of lost equipment.
Wow. And dock building's not cheap. Not cheap at all.
And definitely for the working waterfront, it was, it's,
Devastating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow, that's crazy. And it's especially to happen in January, where I'm sure it was really cold still too. And
Cold, slow season, just
Yeah.
a ton of different factors.
Yeah. And so, we're able to show up for that in more than just a financial commitment. We hosted them in our tasting room, hosted a
wonderful.
gathering of the community, the organizations working, the people who are part of that community, and help raise funds that way. And again, just spread the word, hosting raffles and whatnot. And I think, right, even just that experience of being in a place with your community, with that good energy of being like, we're going to get through this.
And again,
really
harnessing
important.
that platform that I think that you've been able to help cultivate through but through Instagram and social media and email lists, that really did help a lot of those people come together. It helped other people in the state learn about. I mean, if you live in Maine, it doesn't mean you know the working waterfront. I can't say I know the working waterfront, but it's learning of the significance to the state's economy and to the people that live here through outlets like us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not always like traditional news. You know, it's this is what's happening in our community. Let's do something about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of power to that. I mean, I think a good recent example is the Asheville, the hurricane that came through, and
Very
again,
similar
a
to
bunch
that.
of businesses, not just breweries, a bunch of businesses came up and said, "We'll host you. We'll offer food. We've got water." And so I think that's really, really cool to see. And kudos to you for again helping build and design and kind of coordinate people for doing that, because it really shows the power, especially when things are not going well. It's nice to feel a little positivity. You're like, it's going to be okay. Like things can turn out all right.
Yeah, and I think it is. I mean, social media is a powerful tool at hand, and like, it's essentially what my grandmother and I know his grandmother would, cut out news clippings and mail it to you. But
Yeah.
instead of that, it's
I still get those.
Yeah.
I get pictures of them
Yeah.
sent to me via email.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
nice.
That's a better
nice.
system.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's, being able to have that information at hand of how you can share and how you can help. I'm sure that was a really cool experience to have them in the tap room as well. Pretty interesting to hear stories and connect with that. So that's pretty amazing. I love that y'all can have such a vast array of connections. Like, I think that's the coolest part of it, since you're able to help with so many people or so many organizations. I don't know, you're just connected so in I don't know, in depth
Yeah,
to the community.
integrated.
Yeah, very integrated. And I think that's just like a really cool thing. Do you know how they came up with the name Maine Beer Co? Or do you know? Because I feel like because it is Maine Beer Co. and y'all do so much for the community, I think it's just, I don't know. I know they named it a long time ago, but still, I think it's really interesting.
I think David
Ew.
knew that you would feel that way.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Yeah, I think so. Neither of them are from Maine, but they
Okay.
love Maine. And
Oh,
they're
okay.
here for a reason, and I think they just felt that if everyone else, regardless of being a native, had this kind of
Love.
special feeling towards the place, that that it would do well for them.
Oh, nice.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So with all of this giving, all of this community, what are some challenges that y'all have faced to make sure that y'all can provide and help and have the good outreach, or any lessons learned that maybe something happened in the past that you're like, oh, for next time we could do this differently, or anything like that?
I think looking back on last year's success, some of those matching campaigns that we did were really successful, and it was awesome. Like, not even that much more effort on our end to, again, do the good work of telling the story of these organizations and saying, we support this. Do you, the community, support this as well? And then those numbers get amplified and they grow fast. We mentioned the Allied Whale Project, but also for Giving Tuesday, we partnered with Maine Coast Heritage Trust for a giving campaign, and help, like, they raised $60,000 on Giving Tuesday.
Yep.
Plus.
Damn.
Yeah. So just having some like marketed events and different campaigns and different things, being able to go back to those, that's really cool.
Yeah, and the campaign is us internally asking our employees, do you support land preservation on the coast of Maine?
Yeah.
And MCHT's question was like, are you in for this? And of course, our employees are like, yeah, I'm in.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are in. Which I think just goes to show the shared values and inside this building, outside this building.
Heck yeah.
And I think we've had pretty good success too with so our breakfast launch. So our newest double IPA to complete all 3 meals of the day, sort of tongue in cheek. But if you've worked in the tasting room like I have and like Tucker has, you'll hear, when are you going to come out with breakfast? Because there's dinner, there's lunch.
Oh, God.
So we finally,
I love it. I think it's great.
we finally got ahead of that. And to make it, I guess, extra meaningful, we partnered with Freeport Community Services in collecting food for the food pantry. So we were like, what are the kinds of items that are often requested and maybe not always available at the pantry?
Oh, interesting.
And coincidentally, a lot of it was breakfast
food?
items. So
That's wild.
That's so funny.
it's not like required, but I think we've done 2 food drives or 3. 3.
We've done 3, yeah.
Yeah, we've done
so
3.
every release,
Every
which have
breakfast
been
release.
Okay.
That's awesome.
very well attended.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Each one is.
We'll
brought in
usually
about
say
a-
it's not required, but in quotation marks,
Yeah.
Oh,
if you come to a breakfast release, bring something.
Yeah.
It's like
nice.
about a quarter ton or so of food almost every time too. 'Cause
That's
they,
astounding.
they weigh it at the community center when we bring it in.
Bring in.
That's
So you have to use
awesome.
one of the trucks.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of those are successes. I think for me, not a challenge or a lesson to learn, but my role, I've only been in it for a little over a year, and we're trying to, with this role, make it more community focused and more giving focused, and that's kind of the whole gist of it. And for me, it's like really wanting everybody to succeed. I want to give
Right.
money to everybody and say, take this money, please run with it. And the truth is, like, having to learn how to say no or maybe or next year, especially coming from hospitality, that's been a big challenge. If you're in a front of house capacity in any way, yes,
Yeah.
you are my guest, you are my customer. Of course, you're not always right, but
Yeah.
I can try and make things easy for you.
Right.
And this is a world where I need to say no sometimes, and I think that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Especially when you're known to be a company that gives and is generous. That's the tricky part for me.
Yeah.
Inversely, in your hospitality analogy, now that you're the one with the checkbook, all of a sudden everyone's very nice to you.
It's weird.
Right.
And it is a dance, and I
Yeah.
think you've done a great job with it, Zach.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, 2024, that was a huge year, so that's amazing. Hopefully, we'll just continue, and you'll be able to implement things that you'll have learned
Oh,
and
for sure.
continue to grow. And maybe we'll come back in a year or two, and
Yeah.
you won't have to say that you have to say no or something like that.
I
you know?
mean, in a perfect world.
Right.
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 It's okay. I mean, I think we've learned a lot through just our time in this industry, setting healthy boundaries, because I think this
Yeah.
industry is full of very creative, passionate, hardworking, ambitious people. And it's really easy to give your full cup of water to somebody else. And when it's not reciprocated, where it's like, oh, give me more, leads to burnout, leads to bad mental health, I know it's kind of a tangent, but I think it also bumpers into this question. What do you guys do for your mental health, work-life balance? I feel like that's been a big topic of conversation, not just for beer industry, but every single industry since COVID happened. I think people took a lot of stock of how they were actually feeling. Do you guys have tips and tricks, or what do you think has been successful for you?
You as an individual and or as a team.
Yeah.
Well, I can start. I think for me, mental health wise, it's been great to be able to just take a walk every day. Just take a look around, breathe in the air, even if it's cold out, even if it's snowing or raining, whatever. I mean, I think there were some pretty good Instagram memes, perhaps, during the bigger parts of lockdown, where it's like me and my stupid brain taking my stupid brain out for my
Right.
stupid mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's stuff like that where I feel like I don't want to get out of bed, but I'm just going to, and then suddenly I get home and it's like, great, I feel
Yeah.
wonderful.
Right.
So I think part of it's that. I think as a team, something that we don't really talk too much about internally or externally is our health plans. We don't have to pay for. The company provides healthcare plans for us, but also 2 of the 3 plans include unlimited mental health care. So
Oh,
you
wonderful.
can
Nice.
find a therapist, no copay.
amazing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. So I think that's a
is
really
nice.
important thing to think about, especially in the industry.
Yeah.
So
6 months ago, Zach turned me on to his therapy group,
Uh-huh.
and that's been
Yeah.
awesome for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can literally go see them twice a week for $0.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's
wonderful.
amazing.
I think it's a game changer,
Yeah.
especially
We have told Carrie,
Yeah.
our boss, this means a lot to us. Like, this is awesome.
It's
Yeah.
helping
And we
in
know
so
that
many
gets
ways.
relayed year to year. It's like, this is something that the staff is passionate about. Like, let's
Yeah.
make sure we keep that.
And they're using
Happening.
it, like, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. We love therapy. So
Oh, yeah.
we've all.
And that's been I think that's been such a, not like odd thing to watch in the industry, but working with people where it's usually price is the first thing. It's like it's
Yep.
too expensive. But if you take the price away, eliminate it, then it's just them making time. But it feels better for them when it's like I don't have to worry about where this is coming out of. I can go and do it. And there's plenty of people, even myself, when I started going, I was like, oh, you just needed you need your own therapist to talk to. Don't vent it out at work. Don't go to somebody that's totally third party that you can just sit and talk and they can unwind that ball of yarn. Then you can take those tools and skill sets and move forward.
It's changed our lives. So, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what you said too. It is the barrier, the dollar bills,
Yeah.
honestly, and working in customer service and restaurant management. I like after I started here and I started going to the therapist here, and I was like, I could have used this 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's great to have. So I think that's one of those things that's
Yeah,
very
I love
important.
that so much. That's
Wonderful.
so awesome. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about how, I know we already said like lunch and then the breakfasting. Is there strategies for beers that are coming out that will be part of a collaboration or for something? What does that look like for y'all and the brew team if y'all have any collaboration?
Taking a step back to our approach to beer and our production team's approach, we have a pretty small portfolio. It's not often that we come out with a new brand that sees the light of day to a customer. Most of our new recipes and R&D go through our brewery exclusive pilot program, the Black Barn program.
Okay.
We actually dropped number 50 yesterday. It's really good.
Yeah, that Schwartz beer.
And we're going to go try one in a few.
Love it.
Love it.
And people listening, I guess by the time this episode comes out, you will now see that called the Black Barn exclusive program.
Okay.
Probably just more focused around the styles and not a number.
Got it.
Lunch takes up a lot of our tank space,
Yeah.
upwards of 80% these days.
Wow.
That is mostly driven by the market, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It's what people want. So you got to give it to them.
And that's why we see it everywhere too.
Exactly.
And it is lovely.
And we also, our distribution network is kind of like bouncing around based on inventory, to be honest. But we're in 32-ish states, 33.
Damn, that's a lot.
I've lost track exactly.
Yeah, that's
Is
a
it
lot.
all just lunch for those distribution, or is it variety?
It's lunch plus. So
Lunch
like
plus, okay.
most people can expect to see lunch on a regular basis, Peeper on a fairly regular basis, and the rest of the brands kind of just rotate based on availability.
Got it.
Yep.
Throughout the episode, we've been drinking another one, which is a very like OG recipe of ours, of Dan's. That is part of what we are now calling the Conservation Series, which includes 4 existing IPAs.
Oh, nice.
Wolf's Neck, Little Whaleboat, and Woods and Waters. And so those all talk about a nonprofit partner.
Love it.
And those will rotate on a basically monthly basis.
Very cool.
But you see another one in the market right now, you probably won't see it for 4 months.
Got it.
And then you start to get down to the other brands that see like 1 brew a year.
Got it.
Nice.
Okay.
And
Love it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it really goes with like your mantra of what he said, where they wanted to do one beer really well, and I think that's great. I mean, because you say your portfolio is small, but like these beers are all
They're all
fantastic.
great.
Yeah, we haven't touched on the commitment to quality enough
Yeah.
of the product.
Oh yeah,
Like, our job in this department to talk about our beer is made easy by our production team, who makes what I think is some of the best beer in the world.
And one of the favorite things that I hear coming often from our senior leadership is we've got more people in our lab than on our sales team,
oh yeah,
which is true.
By double.
Yeah, double.
Yeah. We understand. Well, I understand because he's worked at.
yeah, dude. People in the
Breweries.
lab, I'm always like, yeah.
If you have a really, if they don't have a lab, I'm like, ooh. But I mean, you can't. Not every brewery can have a lab.
Sometimes it'll come
but-
down to finances and the equipment.
But like, it really does show whenever a brewery has a lab and when they don't. So I understand that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, over the years, like we have invested in solar panels when that was maybe irresponsible and we needed other stuff, and lab equipment. Always, the commitment to quality is
very
definitely there.
high.
Especially when you'll like have grown and like lost barrelage and everything, like being able to scale from a one barrel beer system brew system to where you are, where the company is today. Like to take that at such a small scale and scale it up and it still be good.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's a huge achievement.
It's not
That's
just like
huge.
doubling the recipe over and over again, you know, like it's a lot different.
Yeah, and most of us in these walls would say we think we're brewing the best beer we've ever brewed right now.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Even after I started here, and I felt like it was going to be temporary. I thought to myself, "This has ruined other beer for me."
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, it sounds pretty haughty, but like, yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm not drinking it right now. I
Yeah.
like it a lot.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think it's also impressive when you're talking about your tank space is 80% one beer. That's hard to do that much volume, the same perfect every single time. Because the second it tastes off to somebody, they may not buy it the second time or third time.
we don't let that happen.
I know you
Yeah.
don't. It shows it.
Famous story.
We'll dump it.
Yeah. What was that one of the posts that you made last year that was the most engagement we've seen in a while?
Yeah, we had a batch of second dinner, and truthfully, the IBU was a little high. Like that was what was wrong with it, and we dumped it. And
Damn. That's tough to do.
and telling the community that we dumped a batch of beer was super well received.
Oh,
And people are like, "That's awesome." Now, next time I see a beer that was released,
You'll know that.
I'll know that it was right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
awesome.
that's a part of too the quality in our lab situation. Our sensory program is huge to me. I mean, it's every day. If you are qualified to partake in panel, you go downstairs, you log into the app, you do a full tasting. It's like, is this off?
Nice.
Does this taste like the brand? I mean, I think everybody's got different sensory experiences, but like you get to a certain point where it's like, I know this is lunch. This is a really lunchy lunch, and that's
A really lunchy lunch. I
And
love
so
that.
to be on that panel is 8 months of training.
Yeah, I was about to ask the qualifications.
Yeah, so every full-time employee goes through 8 months of training, both off flavors and brand recognition.
Is it your own in-house program, or is it BJCP or Cicerone? No, own in-house.
Own
Addie.
in-house.
Gotcha.
Addie.
Shout out Addie.
Shout out
She's
Addie.
crushing
To be
it.
honest, we could gush forever about everyone else
for
that
sure.
wasn't
Oh, yeah.
about the work that
For
we're
sure.
directly
Yeah.
involved with.
After this episode, I'll do like a running credit, like the end of a movie, and I'll just name everybody at Maine Beer
Yeah,
Co.
we'll give you all
Yeah.
100 people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think we're up to 60 panelists,
Awesome.
around 60, which is really cool.
Yeah, and since I only do it a couple times a week, and I haven't for this last month, I'm actually pretty high up in the rankings.
Yeah, you
So-
haven't tanked your stats.
That's crazy.
Can't really taste diacetyl if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
We all have one or two.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing
there
too. You
is.
need it. I mean, we have the luxury of travel. Her family lives in Oklahoma City. They have a huge amount of calcium in their water, and when I
You
go
can
there, I
tell
call
the
it milk water.
difference.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
water tastes so smooth and so good. Which
It makes-
milk water sounds really disgusting, but
It's
you
just-
can taste it in the
You
beer.
can taste it in the beer.
Oh, sure.
And out in the West
Yeah.
Coast, it's super soft water, so we add a bunch of
Yeah.
minerals to it. But like, it's interesting to bounce around to different
Yeah.
states and taste it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh. And now I bet when we go back to the West Coast, things are gonna be totally different.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be different.
sometimes too, just mixing up your palate,
Yeah.
it can be helpful. It's a reset. There we go. That's what my brain was looking for.
I had a question. If you were to give advice to like another smaller brewery or even just any entrepreneur or business who was wanting to be able to give back more, do y'all have any advice to like getting started or?
Oh,
Join 1% for the planet.
I mean, that's one of them for sure. I was
Heck
going to
yeah.
say that example that Tucker used earlier about that first check being $100 to Allied Whale. It's not. It's the we're all in this, right? So if you've got just a little bit to give and you want to stay afloat, great,
Yeah.
please. If that's important to you, then the amount doesn't matter,
Right.
right?
And
I think
it's easier the earlier you do it
Yep.
as well.
if you bake it
Figure
into your
out how
business
to do it.
plan,
Nice.
for sure, that's going to be
And then leverage it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's rooted in decide what you care about and your values and stick by those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it's important to? I know it sounds like a very obvious question. Do you think it's important to? You can be agile but stick to what you believe in your values, or to just change consistently to whatever the market's asking for?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So I think you can be agile, and I think when you've put those values literally on a wall here,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easier to make decisions because
Right.
you're like, this is
I like
what we
that.
do.
It like brings you home.
Brings you home. This is how we're going to decide what's right in this moment, no matter what that decision is.
Nice.
Yeah, just doing the right thing in general. It's just it's such an easy way to follow. Like it's all over the place, and it's like, oh yeah, that is the right thing to do. All right, like that is
And right, and
to-
that's trickled down to like all of us,
Yeah.
right? Who have worked here. The brewery's been around for about 16 years. It's still, that was day one. It's still how we all kind of operate and do things.
Well, and I think it makes you all like more engaged and more proud to, wear your Maine Beer Co. Vest outside and be like, yeah, I work for a Maine Beer Co. Like, I think that's just like you can wear that as literally like a badge of pride of like, this is where I work and this is what I'm doing. So,
Nice.
I mean, it is actually really humbling when I forget I've got some of that on, and you go out in public and people are like, oh, do you work there? And it's just a good confirmation that you work for the right place and the right people and you do the right things.
Yeah.
And just knowing that people in the public who you've not met. I was at a bottle shop in Lewiston a few years ago, and somebody saw me with a Maine Beer Company shirt, and they said, do you work there? And they said, thanks for all you do. And it's like, holy cow, like, sure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the surprise compliment can sometimes like take you back. You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. And it's not spoiling. I think it's also a good guide for, and I say this especially younger people wanting to get in this industry or any industry. When you work for somebody that's really well, and if time happens correctly and you decide to move on and reach higher, it's something you look back to, and it's like easy to say like, oh shit, that was really good, because then you might go through a couple of jobs where you're like, oh, that was not a fun experience.
Yeah.
And so it does just help create those healthy boundaries.
Yeah. And to be able to work for a brewery that's doing so much, like normally that doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
Like breweries, they do give back and they do have some community stuff. There's so many breweries in the world, but like to be like, that's what you're known for and you have really good beer, like that's pretty winning combo. So it's pretty cool.
Heck yeah.
I think it certainly is a winning combo, beer and community. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's
for the smaller people, like lean into your community.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's, we do this podcast because we love the beer community and we wanted to provide a place for people's stories to be told of how did they get started, why are they here, like what are they about, and to be able to share that community with other people. So if they're, vacationing or maybe they live in the area but they didn't know that brewery is doing certain things, or, like they connected with certain pieces of the story, whatever, just being able to share like community is why we love beer, because we get to be around people and we get to talk and share stories and help one another out. So it is hand in hand. Yeah.
I think what's so great too about the beer community in general, from what I've seen, is we're not really like fighting with each other to do good things. We want to help each other out to do good things. It's not like a competition on, well, we gave the most money to charity. It's like, well, we gave this much, you gave that much, great, whatever.
We all did what we could.
Yeah, we try and help each other out. There's, even when you think about sustainability, like we send, are they the malt bags to Allagash, something like that? It's just collaborating on like recycling initiatives and reuse and a lot of other areas. The collaboration that can happen between companies is even just, it's kind of inspirational too. So it's not, I think it's not all kumbaya, but it's great.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot better than most, I think, industries.
Yeah, I like to think of it as like there's like radical innovating all the time. I mean, brewers will be like, oh, I didn't have this, so I just built it, and I asked so-and-so for spare parts, and so-and-so came over with their welder, and that goes into like community engagement. It's like, oh, something gnarly happened, you had a fire in your place? Well, all right, cool, every pint that we sell, we're giving $1. And then it's like 3 other brewers like, cool, we'll do that too, and that all happens like 24 hours. You're like, who the hell is this group of people?
Yeah, they are really scrappy. Brewers are scrappy people.
Yeah,
So,
durable.
yeah, for sure. We've asked like a lot of our questions. Is there anything really specific that y'all want to share more about that we haven't been able to touch on? I feel like we got.
Yeah, otherwise we'll just go to our last question.
mean, I don't know if I've got anything. I think we're just going to try and keep on doing what we're doing. You know, without Tucker, unfortunately.
I
but
know.
Hey, he's moving on to fun, big, better
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
it's time.
Yeah.
Good.
Is there anything that y'all are looking forward to in 2025? Like anything big? I know sounds like there's probably a lot of big stuff going on.
Well, there's a big thing that I think I can talk about, which is
and if not, we can always cut it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I'll just go right ahead and talk about it. I feel like I'm talking to the actual listeners right now, and I don't have to be, do I?
Nope.
That's magic.
You can follow back up and ask. And by the time it comes out, maybe you could talk about it. So.
I think we can talk about this. So we mentioned our partnership with Allied Whale, talking about, NOAA dropping funding. We want to continue that conversation and I guess collaboration with Allied Whale. We will be installing a whale skeleton in our tasting room.
Oh, that's sweet.
My gosh.
Yeah,
Are you
that's really
serious?
sweet.
And 52-foot whale skeleton.
That's
53.
insane.
53 feet.
Hey,
That's insane.
What? Where was that going to go?
so-
Y'all do have a huge ceiling.
Yep.
Oh,
It'll be,
Yeah.
it's an interesting confluence of, I guess, events in that we want to continue our support for Allied Whale and College of the Atlantic. That is one big conversation piece in our living room, so to speak, that can still drive more traffic, but also give people who come to our brewery, because it is kind of a destination, I would say, and they can learn more about that.
Right.
Biggest
Whale?
platform we've got,
Gosh.
essentially. But the whale, you go through. I know NOAA did approve us taking custody of said whale.
Is it lunch?
It is not
No.
lunch.
Oh, okay.
That's actually the most important thing to remember.
Yeah.
It's not lunch. That would be a little bit too macabre, I think.
Hopefully lunch is still kicking.
I don't know. But this
For the
one-
listeners, he is. Or she is.
Yeah.
The whale is still alive.
Yeah, she is.
But yeah, this is, it's kind of a cool story. We've been working on it for a little while, and a lot of the spaces where you can see and interact with exhibits like this in Maine aren't necessarily open all the time or at all. So having this as a direct connection to what goes on our coast, why did this whale die at such a young age? There are a lot of different issues that intersect, and I'm not sure what the interpretive signage will be, but that is a required component of it. But that's something actually
very
big
exciting.
and exciting that's going to be happening.
Yeah. And so we've gotten to follow the process of discovering this whale carcass on a island in the coast of Maine, and Allied Whale and College of the Atlantic students went out, harvested the bones.
That's awesome.
Learned a ton by doing that. It's their property.
Yep.
And it's just on display here.
Oh,
And
that's so
rad. So we
rad.
can talk about their work. Yeah, it's gonna be fucking.
And that was
sweet.
one of the exciting things
so
too. is
rad.
We weren't sure engineering and structurally, like we'd be able to actually host that particular whale skeleton. So part of it was we gave some money to help them collect the bones, and the response from College of the Atlantic was just pretty beautiful. It's like, this is an opportunity for our students who don't necessarily get to do this. Every class can't do this, and it's just really cool thinking about, like, this is an experience that they'll remember, and will help them in their careers. It's just all not
The amount of
super,
lives
but-
that it touches and spreads out to is just astronomical.
The impact,
Yeah.
It didn't die for nothing,
Yeah.
which I think was probably a really cool thing.
Hell yeah.
I love that.
And so the when is TBD. They basically have to repeatedly boil these bones
I'm
so
sure.
they don't drip random shit on people in the tasting
Yeah.
room.
Just a kid in a high chair, just a glop of something.
Some smelly whale fat.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Part of the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely be following along. So whenever y'all post something about it, if we have posted this podcast so far, we'll repost and stuff. But if not, we're still excited.
That's
for
so
that.
It's going
exciting.
to be pretty cool. I hope you
gonna
come
be
back up here, Tucker, to
Oh, I best believe it.
I'm sure you will.
will.
It's not that far.
It's not that far.
We may not be coming back from the West Coast, but
Yeah.
we'll come back and visit
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah. We love the area, so we'll be back for sure. Yeah. Well, that is something amazing for 2025. excited to see that.
Very, very awesome.
And then we'll move on to our last. It's a little question that we always ask all of our podcast guests. When we were traveling before we did the podcast, we asked this, so we have a running list of this question and the answers from people across the United States. So we love to add to it. But if y'all were to give a piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I mean, honestly, like, I am not that old, but I'm in my 40s now, and it feels old to say, not actually to live. It's like nobody's paying attention to you. Like,
that's very humble.
it's
I like
fine,
that.
you know. Like, don't worry about what you say or do. Just do it.
Nice.
I mean, it's not to like plug Nike, I guess, but
No.
you know, it is.
I didn't even catch that.
It's one of those things where it's. I feel like at least I did, and I think a lot of younger folks might have had the same experience. Is just worrying about other people's opinions.
Yeah,
and,
I still do that.
yeah, and internalizing it. And that's the thing is like I think I do too, but now I'm like, they're not looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Sure.
Like,
Yep.
and it's easier to say too. Like the older you get, it's like they're definitely not looking at you too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that for
that's
sure.
me.
I love that. I love that.
I was gonna go somewhere similar. I like
that's
the way
okay.
Zach said it.
Nice.
I had a random drunk dude in a parking lot once tell me his advice, which was, "Whatever you do, you better fucking own it."
Oh,
sort of
yeah. Hell yeah.
Kind of on that note, it is
Yeah.
right. Like,
Yeah.
be yourself, follow your values, fucking own it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Dude,
Let's go team.
I know. I was like, every time we do a podcast, I go shadow box in the parking lot for 5 minutes. I'm just so psyched up.
Yeah.
I just get so jazzed.
I always cry. I always have
Yeah.
little tears because I just like seriously every single podcast. I'm just like so happy and
Yeah.
like love that people are like doing what they're passionate about and like sharing their story and I don't know. I just get excited and I tear up
Yeah.
every single podcast.
Well, thanks for spending your time with us.
Yeah, thanks for
And
calling,
yeah, if you guys ever out on, if you come to Washington State, let us know.
Let us
We'll put
know.
you on a ferry to the San Juan Islands. We all can go out there and watch the orcas.
It's on a list for me for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Please
please
do
do.
come
Bring a
out.
bike, because then you can bike all the islands.
So we podcasted with Jesse from Friday Harbor from the San Juan Island Brewery, and he was an incredible podcast. And then the beer that they're making and everything is just really cool. Y'all should listen to that podcast and hear what they have to do to get their CO2.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. They bring it over on a ferry.
That's wild.
Yeah, because they don't have room at the building.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, please come out. We'd love to host y'all.
Oh, yeah. Just go do fun stuff outdoors.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the whale.